You said that they started out where Bicos
Yes.
was?
And especially if you want to play.
And
They-
that was this home.
This is, yes, that's the little building they started out on West Highway 30. Then they moved into town, which is now the Mona parking lot. And this picture is where Mona is, the outdoor patio. This is where my dad had his used cars. So Pontiacos won't be on GMC. And during World War II, when my dad went off to the war, my mom stayed and took care of the business. And they only sold GMC trucks at that time. GMC would not let her sell trucks because she was a female. They had to wait and get the franchise back after my dad got out of the service. And in 1968, when my dad retired, I wanted to take over the business. And General Motors still at that time wouldn't let women own a franchise.
Wow.
Amazing.
And you said this one was from a parade, is that right?
Yeah, this is from a parade in 1957. And you can see statue. The Midway Hotel was still there when we were, Dad and Mom were in business.
And then those were the, some of the employees?
These were some of the employees, yes. And this was inside. This was the parts room.
And is that your parents pictured in that?
This is my parents, and this is my mom. George and Maxine Sabatka.
So she worked in there alongside?
She knew how to change oil and do tune-ups and change tires, and she did everything the guys did.
Nice.
And when my dad retired, he built a big garage in behind our house and put the little sign up there. I still have the sign in my garage.
Yeah, there's always some kind of catch.
And you said this was your parents at
Their first home,
house?
yes, here in town. And then that picture is my mom walking downtown, Kearney. And they used to get the cars on transports.
Yeah. Cool.
Now, is this building still standing?
No, they tore it
No.
down. My brother and I wanted to buy it, but it was full of termites.
Oh, man.
Didn't know what we were gonna do with it, but
Yeah.
I think it's
And-
an empty building now. Go ahead.
yeah, when my mom and dad were first in business, Highway 30 was the main street, main highway.
Okay.
What year did the interstate open? Was that in the 60s?
In the 60s sometime, yeah.
Did that end up pulling business away from them, you think?
Not really, no.
Not really affecting
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, they were in business for 30-some years.
Wow.
Did you get a close-up of this one?
Oh, I didn't get that, so. George's Super Serve.
Super Service, and then they changed it to George's Motor Company.
Okay. I'll get this.
And my mom and dad worked side by side. When I was born December 31st, 1950, and my mom worked until 8 o'clock at night because every 31st they did inventory.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't leave until they left inventory, had inventory done. So every year on my birthday, we did inventory.
Did they postpone the celebration till after?
Yes.
After?
Usually, after we got inventory done, we'd go to Grandpa's Steakhouse.
Oh, okay, okay.
Cool. Wow. So where'd you get this newspaper here? Or
Those
these?
were news, I brought a stack of them in. My mom had
Yeah.
collected them over the years and put them in a trunk.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided to bring them down so somebody
Yeah.
else could see them and enjoy them.
Yeah.
And did you ever get to
There's
participate in any of the parades?
Yes.
Ride with your family?
In the little fire truck there, we, every time Dad and Mom were in the parade, we'd get to ride in the back of that. And that particular picture is my grandpa Sabatka riding in the passenger side.
Oh, okay.
And we lived at the shop. We only lived 3 blocks down the street, but every night when we got out of school, we'd go down and stay there. And my mom never cooked. We always went to one of the restaurants in town and ate. And then they would stay at work and we'd go home and do our schoolwork.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, we had open accounts at all the restaurants in town, so we could just kind of go eat what we wanted.
Did they kind of trade services then? So you guys would eat and then you
Yep,
were service their
exactly.
cars? Oh,
Come in,
okay.
get their car oil changed or get new tires and, yeah.
Very cool.
And did you ever help out at all in the,
Yes.
in the shop? What kinds of things?
From
did
the
they have
time
you
I
do?
was probably 7 on, my dad taught me how to change tires, how to do oil changes. I did everything. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. My first car was a 1968 Firebird, and when I got it home, I took as many parts off as I could just to see if I could put it back together. My dad was not very happy, but I got it all put back together.
Without any help from him? Did you do it all?
All, yeah.
Oh, that's
I love doing that kind of thing. And every time I smell diesel, I always think of my parents' shop. Back then, they didn't do any ventilation or anything. In the wintertime, they'd have all the doors closed and have cars running and carbon monoxide and, yeah. Real healthy environment for children.
Leaded gas at that time too, right?
Yes.
Well, these are
It's
great.
really cool.
These are wonderful photographs.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
for letting me share them.
Yeah. I mean, this is something, because I'm new to Kearney, I would never have known, without people telling me that there was a station there, I would have known.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get this photo here. This one here.
And this sign right here, I have in my garage. The George's Motor
Oh, you do?
Company. Yes, I do.
Nice. It's underneath new and used trucks.
And-
cars.
This car here was my brother's 68 442, and this was my 68 Firebird.
Oh, okay.
Front and center there, we just,
Yeah.
Now, are you still partial to that car, that kind of car, or do you have a favorite?
no, I don't. The only drawback about growing up in a dealership is your car always had to be sale ready.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to be clean at all times because you didn't know if your dad was going to sell it or not.
Yeah.
You could come home from somewhere and go, oh, my car's gone. Yeah, I sold it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, I don't have a car
So I
anymore.
have to admit now I'm not a very tidy car person. I think just because I don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you think about, so there was that big car sale from somebody who owned a dealer
Oh, yes.
back in last fall, was it?
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah. My dad never kept anything around that long. It just, and my dad was a very generous person. He was, if somebody couldn't afford a car, he'd give them a car.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Same with, my parents would give people food, and that's why they called him Generous George.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
And my dad wore a hat almost all of his life, and he was bald, and when he passed away, there were so many people at the funeral said, your dad's bald, like, and then we said, maybe we should have left his hat on. And my mom wore trousers to work for the longest time, and then when she quit working in the back, then she dressed up every day, and after she retired, she said, I'm never dressing up again. Because that's back when they had seams on the hose and they'd get her hair done every week and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she did everything the guys did. And I could never figure out, all those mechanics smoked, you know, they cleaned those parts with that solution that was highly flammable. Why we never had a fire down there. They'd be cleaning and cigarette would be hanging over and.
That little building, it's not been that long since that was still out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's there
No, they
anymore
tore
or
it
not.
down and,
Did they?
yeah, my brother and I both went out and got pieces of wood from it.
It's just like the building at A and 24th,
Yes, exactly.
where the State Farm Agency is.
And my dad and mom never had time to do yard work. We lived down on 25th Street, so one summer my dad decided he was going to concrete the whole backyard, and he had the guys at the concrete plant put green dye in it, and that house that is still bright green. My brother and I keep
Really?
laughing. That's why we have our problems, because of the green dye. It's right beside Joe's Maytag.
Yeah?
That's the little house we grew up in, yeah. And if you drive back there, they've got a patch left where the garage is, and it's still just as green as the day. And my dad used to brag that he never had to mow his lawn.
Oh, that's a good one.
So how many other car dealers were downtown?
Well, the Ford dealer was over here. The DeSoto, I think maybe all they had was DeSoto was here. George's was there on the highway. Where the garage is, that building, that was where the Packard dealer was. Behind KGFW was the Nash dealer and the Pontiac Cadillac dealer. And then down the block, the Oldsmobile dealer was,
Schneider,
were they a block down?
a block down.
Kind of like behind Texas
Yes.
Cafe?
Nielsen Chevrolet.
Yeah, was there on the corner where Garrett's,
Jack Samways.
yeah, where the bank is now, the First National. First National now, Samway Motors. And, oh my,
That's a lot of competition.
And then when Chevrolet moved out on West Highway 30, everybody just was like, clear out there.
yeah. And it wasn't long anymore.
Yeah, it was a long ways
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
Where the chicken coop is, do you remember when that was a roller ranch or a bowling alley downstairs?
yeah.
And I didn't know until a few years ago, I used to take care of Helen Letterman. She used to tell me that she'd call my mom and say, Maxine, let's go. And they'd go bowling in the afternoon, but they'd
Oh, really?
tell Jack and my dad that they were going off and calling on some customers or something.
Yep.
And where the Eagles is, that was a bowling alley for a while.
Well, it was Safeway before,
That's
maybe
right.
before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in junior high, that's where we did our after-school sports,
Mhm.
when it was a
No.
bowling alley. And Camel's was across the,
Yeah,
yeah.
where the what do they call it? The courtyard of Cunningham's?
Oh, okay.
There was
okay.
a wasn't there?
Oh.
Wasn't it kind of like
A windmill and,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, they had the best food, yeah.
yeah.
And Cunningham's was the
Carney Laundry.
Corning Laundry, and at noon they'd blow the whistle and
Oh. Sorry.
Warren's got that whistle in his office.
oh, he does. Oh my word.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of Carney.
And the Fairmont ice cream place was right, well, beyond the city parking lot too now. Right there, faced east on A.
And I'm old enough that they delivered milk when I was a kid. Charlie Richardson was our milkman. Yeah, where Walgreens is now, there was a used car lot called Charlie's Used Cars. There was a little mobile station.
Yep.
I'm just getting a whole different picture of Kearney in my head.
Oh,
now.
it was totally different. Yeah. Central has stayed pretty much the same, but
Everything else has
Yeah.
changed, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
You're very
Thank you
welcome.
for
Yeah.
telling us a little bit about this.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
All right. I'll turn it off here.
So we have all those scanned, or
Yeah, we have
photographed.
scanned.